covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Welcome one, welcome all to the latest edition of the Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Collin here alongside my good buddy, pal, co-host Jim Mernier as we continue our NAL Championship series of podcasts leading up to the big game on August 13th, where the Carolina Cobras will take on the Albany Empire at MVP Arena in Albany, New York. And joining us today, as we have mentioned on our schedule, we are going to have both head coaches of the championship teams in this slate of episodes. And we're brought in by the visiting team's head coach, a very familiar resident to the Inside the Walls podcast, Coach Josh Resignalo himself. Coach, thank you very much for taking the time to join us here for this edition, lead up to the game and all that. How you doing, man? I understand from another player we were going to have on the show that you had your first practice today.
We sure did, man. It was the first one back, and we usually have film on Mondays, but with the short week and leaving Thursday morning to head up to Albany, we practiced tonight, had our first practice tonight, and it was good and refreshed. It was a different feeling coming off a bye week since we had one.
No joke about that. I mean, I can only assume, and we obviously we talked with Kendrick Ings as well. It's going to be part of our podcast releases too. The bye week for you guys built in this time. First time you've had a break for games, at least in 14 weeks. You say 17 in terms of, training camp and lead up. I mean, your team's got to be thrilled to at least have some time to get some of the wear and tear away before they go up to New York.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 straight games, 2 weeks of camp. We tried to manufacture a bye week there, and I think it kind of bit us in the butt when we went and got smoked in Jacksonville. So,
okay.
Practicing one time in that week was rough, but we needed the time. We had some injuries, and it's bad when you have to make up your own bye week. But we always said in the beginning, though, we get a bye week, we just got to earn it. We got to make it to it, and here we are. So the guys enjoyed themselves, and some guys went home, and some guys just relaxed and hung out here in town, but everyone was glad to be back tonight. So it was good to get back to work.
Coach, seeing that this is the fourth time you're playing against Albany, what do you think by the film, if you study film during off week, what do you expect Albany is going to do differently, like they haven't done the first three matchups against you guys?
I would expect them to probably try to incorporate Sam in the running game a little bit more than they have, because Sam's been lighting it up, man, and Coach Ware's been putting him in some great situations, and people forget Coach Ware has an IFL background, so to be able to incorporate some of that stuff, and with Shorts is another one that's been helping out the last few weeks. It was unfortunate, we had him here and we couldn't quite fit him in the scheme of how the Ironman stuff was, and he got stuck just playing defense, and so having him go to Albany and then pick him back up, and what a pickup for them to get him in mix. And like in your guys' podcast earlier with him and Hag, Casanova and Hag, they mentioned to figure out the first few weeks of who they're going to have at fullback, and Shorts has stepped in for him the last few weeks and has done a great job for him.
Yeah, most certainly has. I'm glad you pointed that out, because that has been an addition for them. And I love you also point out the fact that they have been running, to me, it's indoor football concepts, the shotgun, the more the at least more of the I would say read option setups. You don't see that as often in the NAL brand of the game. It's almost like, they don't always run it, but it's almost like you're going to be doing it like the two leagues, and I'm only referencing it just for the sake of this discussion, that you're going to be having like the two leagues' own formats go against each other in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would expect them to probably do that a little bit more than they have been, especially against us. There isn't a whole lot you can do in the arena game per se. Everyone has their wrinkles and their verbiage is a little bit different, but pretty much everything's the same. So you play someone three times going into the fourth time, you already know what everyone's going to do. So now it's going to come down to who's going to have the most wrinkles off of certain things that they've been doing. And it's, we'll be prepared either way. I know they are. They're Coach Manassas, him and his crew are film nuts, so they're diving in and all that stuff. I promise, knowing Coach Manassas, he's probably watched every single game that we played this year, and it's they say they don't prepare that much, but they're film junkies. They're on it, and but that's why they are where they are too. So they do a good job with what they got going on.
We've been hinted similar, so it's kind of we're almost getting it's like who analyzes better. Not saying that's the name and end all be all, but it feels like you too. If it's two organizations that are going to be making sure that they know what the schedule, what they did all season long, and find some sort of cracks, nooks and crannies to pick something. Feels like you guys are going to be there. I would think you or Manassas' crew are going to be doing that come through the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it feels too. You almost look at it the opposite way. It's going to come down to who does a better self-evaluation of the things that we've been doing within ourselves to try to fix some of the small things that we messed up. They've gave up some big plays in the secondary. We've given up some big plays in the secondary. So it's about who can fix what that's been going on through the season and kind of make sure those mistakes don't happen in the championship game.
First off, Coach, I asked this to Kendrick. I'm going to ask you the same question. Are you keeping the tradition alive, going to Albany and going to the Hibachi Grill?
100%.
Yes.
They were already. When I call, we're on first name basis, and they're excited. They take pictures with us, and it's probably the best Japanese steakhouse hibachi I've been to on the East Coast. I've tried to find. They got this garlic ginger mix that they put in all the food, and it's just slamming. And I ask all the other places I go to, and they look at me like I'm crazy. What I'm talking about, what kind of sauce they use. As a matter of fact, when we go there this time, he's actually going to show me how they mix their sauce. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay. See, we keep hearing stories about this place. So now I'm like, I'm going to just add that onto my list of things. Maybe not this Albany trip, but some other future Albany trip. I just happened to go out to a hibachi, the Hibachi Grill, the famous one.
I tell you what, if you get in town in time, you can go eat pregame meal with us, and then you can enjoy it firsthand.
Interesting. You leave a good proposition there, Coach.
2:30.
2:30. That's possible. We'll discuss off air. I think that actually matches with my flight schedule just enough. I could probably pull it off as long as the Uber driver's fast enough from the airport. Step on it. I need my tricks with onion towers.
You're counting on the Uber driver to be on time too, so
I'll give him a good tip.
That doesn't help.
Okay.
Have you ordered DoorDash before? They're just like DoorDash. You had to be here 30 minutes.
Never mind. Don't remind me.
1 hour later, they only bring half your order.
You're killing me. I'm just getting hungry. Listening to you, Jim. I don't need more food tonight.
I'm sorry. I'm just. Hibachi now DoorDash. Yeah.
Anyway.
Cold Stone Creamery. Let's keep going. Let's go.
No. That's it. Cutting that one off from you. You're done.
And Coach Rez earlier before the recording, going to McDonald's, and also he's the one who started it.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah. Continue.
Yes, of course. Coach, I actually want to revisit here because, the season for you, I felt like you guys had kind of a steady pace going. The last quarter of it, Rocky seems kind of negative connotation. I would say hills and valleys, at least trying to get to where you wanted to be in the playoffs. I mean, how do you describe, say, like the final 4 weeks? Because there's a lot to be said, a lot of fan commotion to be said about it. I mean,
yeah.
What do you have to say, I guess, in your final quarter of the year?
It was challenging, to say the least. When Bain went down in San Antonio, it's kind of like the win in your sails kind of goes out. It'd be, I've said it a couple of times. If Bain don't go down, where do we end up? 3 losses, 2 losses, 3. I've always said towards the end of the season, playing in Jacksonville, I would have gave them one of those games because that's a tough place to play. They got a great fan base. It's loud, the atmosphere, for an away team doesn't matter what your record is, how good you are, it's tough. So that was always a given in the back of my mind. So, but with him going down, those last 4 weeks, man, without him was tough. We tried to make a big move and bringing in Tommy. 9 out of 10 times, Tommy's going to thrash you and tear you up put up big numbers. And we just happened that one time, he was a little rusty in the beginning, and then he ended up getting hurt. So that was tough to witness and go through all that. And it was just pretty much just survival. Malik did a good job of filling in when he can. He wasn't too happy that he didn't get to start that game. And he pretty much came in and almost brought us back to win that game. Just fell short a little bit to have a chance to win at the end, is all you can ask for. And
right.
I wish we were just about another 8 yards closer. We would have kicked a field goal with TC. So it was just a lot of things that basically the ball wasn't going our way. Anything that could happen against us went against us. Couldn't catch no breaks. So we just kept fighting through. So to be able to come out 500 of those 4 games, it was a win for us, really. To end up where we were at.
Right. I mean, you guys ended up getting the 2 seed. Still got that home game, of course, to get and go in front of the snake pit out there. And you know what? You got Jonathan Bain back. A lot of people were excited to see that. I think to get how he performed all season up until that ankle injury. I think they were just happy to see him there. But I'll tell you, you had some adversity in the first quarter. You go down 10-0. You find you get a score back. You get that onside kick. It flips momentum. Was that always? Were you just spur of the moment with that onside kick at that time during the semifinals, or was that possibly a plan? Like if A happens, B then happens.
No, it was. We didn't plan on kicking the onside kick at that time. Like it wasn't a predetermined thing. It was just the moment. I was yelling at the defensive guys and the DBs. They were playing off, and I think there was a 4th and 6, and we're lined up at 7 yards, and we give up a hitch right in front of us for a first down.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting on. And again, we're talking it's 10-0, right? So
sure.
It's still early, but I'm livid. So I'm yelling at them about being aggressive. So I'm like, you know what? I need to be aggressive too. So I told TC and I told Summers, we're popping this up. We didn't tell anyone else. No one was expecting it. Gibson knew that we were going to kick an onside kick at some point because we got him the last time we were here, or that they came. But the same lineup, same everything. We had an idea how they were going to line up, and if they did, we were popping it up, and we got it. And I felt that moment of the game right there, getting the onside kick, just flipped the switch for us, and that was the momentum that we needed. And then offense took off from there, and then just everything else just fell into place.
Right, the gas pedal just seemed to come. It went from partially down, like maybe you're kind of cruising, to like, all right, we're gonna floor it, no brakes anymore. This is a drag strip. It just was endless, nonstop action after that for you guys. A little bit of rust, but it was like that one split second. That's why I bring it up, because it just felt like after that, it's like, okay, it's back to normal Cobras football that we saw early to mid-season anyhow. So, really kind of kick things off.
Yeah, even look on from the Columbus standpoint, they were pretty. They had the momentum, so they were feeling good. They give up that onside kick. You basically giving up possession by allowing us to recover it. So now they're pressing a little bit, and it was more for them. Coach Gibson, I know, was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like they just kicked the onside kick and got the onside kick. So, that was a big moment. Now there was a lot of other great plays throughout the game. Bain, back to Bain's self. I'm sure everyone thought it was a little rocky when he threw that pick, early on, and but I knew that wasn't an issue. It wasn't going to be a problem, and he had a good game. And all around, I think he was had 4 incomplete passes, I think. But he had a good game, so we were glad to get him back, and I know the team was excited about that too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Well, we know that you were excited for him back because the next play after that onside kick, he threw, I think, like a 30-yard post route, and the receiver caught the ball right in front of you, and you look like freaking Tiger Woods with a fist pump. I'm like, yep. When I saw Rez do that, I was like, yeah, Columbus is in trouble. Bain found his on the dime. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to look good. And I kept flipping back and forth, and every time I looked back, it's like, Mason's not looking good. and Bane's on the money. I'm like, yeah, we got our title game. It's already set. But seeing you after that onside kick and off that touchdown, I think it was Ings that caught it or Summers, like right in front of you, and you did your Tiger Woods fist bump. I'm like, yeah, game over in the game.
You talk about the energy you bring yourself. You have I would say your coaching staff is a cast of characters. Anytime I watch a broadcast, I always see like how you guys interact with each other. You know, who do you think's like who do you think matches your energy the best? Like I guess intensity during a game where it's like if I'm gonna lean on my guy to keep me up and like I guess at a high rev motor mentally, who you leaning on in that coaching staff?
I'd say in that instance of trying to get, feed off one another is Anton, because Anton, Coach Yarborough, defense coordinator, he gets into the game too, and you got to pull him back sometimes. But at the same time, they're trying to tell me to calm down, and I'm giving the refs hell, and that's my game. I'm not the one on the field playing, so my game is making sure the refs are on pitch with what they got to do, and because it's been up and downs. There's been some crazy calls, some good calls, and I feel, touching on that without saying too much without getting in trouble, but it's been very consistent across the board. So it's not always one team or the other. It's consistent, throughout the games, and that's all you can ask for from that standpoint. So good or bad, as long as it's the same across the board, then that's an even playing field. They're not doing like holding one team to the fire over somebody else. And although every game the fans beg to differ, so it's always fun to see that stuff pop back and forth. But just overall, man, I think we do a good job as a staff as a whole. It's the most coaches I've ever had together on a group. Usually it's like 3 of us or 4 maybe. But I felt it was important with all the things that I do as the general manager and now part owner of the team to have other people in place to help with some of that stuff. And it was hard in the beginning because I've always called the plays, whether it's offense or defense. So it's the first time for me to kind of step back, but it's been a good thing because I can manage everything across the board. I can see things differently than being entrenched in game plan on one side of the ball and helping on the other side or whatever. Now I can see everything as a whole, from clock management, personnel, substitutions, all that stuff that, you're able to pay attention to a little bit more in detail.
A question about that. A couple of weeks ago, I met you in Jacksonville, and I kept seeing you running across the end zone to the other sideline. Is that where the substitution refs are at? Where on your side? Like almost every other possession, I saw you run over and run back. So what's he doing? Like, he's not getting any exercise in.
We actually have, and I'm sure every team has their way of doing things, but we actually script out our rotations of who's going to be in certain. Like I could tell you if we in the 5th possession of the quarter, I can tell you who's going to be on the field.
Okay.
Now all that goes to crap if someone gets hurt and goes down, then you got to shuffle through your roster and figure out what you're going to do. But the reason why running back and forth to the substitution ref, usually they're closer to our bench, so we don't have to go all the way over there. But basically, I'm checking to check our guys who's burnt, who's still alive, make sure it matches with what they have. That's pretty much it, just to make sure who's eligible, because you don't want to get stuck with someone burnt and you get a penalty, and then that's happened a few times for teams throughout the season, and usually in a crazy moment where you don't need a substitution foul, and then it's just like an offsides killer when you get an interception on defense or something like that. So.
Yeah, I meant to ask you that earlier. I'm like, why was he running back? Because where I sit, I kept seeing you run back and forth, and I'm like, what's he doing that? I didn't realize the substitution refs were over there. So that's me not knowing my own damn arena.
Look at you. Oh, Jim, it's okay. We all throughout the season, I think we're getting that aspect of Iron Man down. It seems like, I'll be honest, from our perspective watching, it feels like the substitution issues have cleared up a lot as the years gone on. Like it's almost, I know at the beginning, I think people were seeing Iron Man as, oh man, these substitution checks were slowing it down. I'll be honest, like semifinals and like the last back half of the year, it was like, oh, I didn't even notice at all we were getting substitutions going in. It'd be like once in a full moon at that point, like, or even late in the fourth quarter, you'd have like a quick stop. Do you see that? Does that feel like it's changed for you, or you still run into things yourself where you're like, okay, maybe I had this happen, or maybe the score or the substitution ref had something happen here. Where are you at with that?
I don't think we've had too many issues with it. I mean, every so often there's going to pop up where someone runs out onto the field because we're short a player or something, and then we're early on. That was what would cause the problem. But now I have a couple coaches in line to where you pass the one coach and then the other coach is, he knows that, yeah, he's not supposed to be out there. So we kind of got some checks and balances in place to keep track of all that stuff. And it helps when you have all those coaches, on staff. So it's definitely the flow of it. It's been much better the last few weeks across the board that I've noticed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So the Zach Brown for kicker experiment's over?
Well, hey, you got one of the highlights of the year, Adam Smith throwing a pretty TD, coming in. That was that one. I mean, if you do a highlights package for the Cobras, that's got to be in there. Even with the situation it was at that time, it was a pretty pass. How much does he practice? I mean, how many reps do you even give him, or does he just know he's going to back up and you just throw him in if needed?
Yeah, so he hadn't taken any reps at quarterback all season to that point, but he did play quarterback in high school. He's a local legend around Davie County High School. That's right near outside of Greensboro area. So he's known in the area. But it was one of those things when we had the injuries to Tommy and then Malik, and then he came in and then Grady came back. That burnt Malik. So I'm like, we got to come up with something. So I actually pulled DJ aside, Myers, and I'm like, hey, the only thing that we probably could do is Adam. What do you think? And he's like, that's all we got, coach. That's the only option. So, we put him in and of course, he makes a good play. Funny story about him playing quarterback in that moment. So he's actually getting scouted pretty good by a CFL team.
Really?
Receiver. And which is awesome for him. So that's really what all this is about, this level for them to have these opportunities. And he's been in contact with the scout and he sent that clip in of him throwing a touchdown pass and he said it was hilarious because the scout got back to him and said, yeah, we're just gonna stick at looking at you at receiver, but thanks for the clip. Adam's a great kid, man. He's a teacher. He's a real rounded individual. Definitely someone that you want character wise, representing your team. So he's been good to have, and he's been here for a couple seasons now. So it's good for him to have some of those moments. And he's made a lot of good plays for us this season.
Oh yes.
I was going to say one of the highlights of your season happened in week 1 with Zach Brown, and I still remember either one of the camera guys caught his audio. And they say, "Oh, you're kicking." He goes, "I'm just happy I kicked the ball." Like he was really definitely afraid of whiffing. When I heard that, I was like, "That's Zach." He's been like when he was a player in Jacksonville. He was like he's a genuine guy, and that's when even when he was a surprise guest appearance with Ing's interview, it's like, "Hey, still my favorite shark, even though you're a Cobra." But yeah, that was one of the highlights. That the Smith highlight was unique because when he threw that touchdown pass, it looked like he played quarterback. If it was on the dime, like bullet. I'm like, oh, he has something. I was like, did Rest have a third quarterback hiding that we didn't know about? Like what's this man doing signing players that we don't know about that could throw a football? I'm like, come on.
Well, it was definitely a nice part. It was definitely, I would say, a highlight you want to keep for the season, and quite frankly, I think with that, even without, like I said, it's kind of amazing looking back at how that whole situation conspired. And now, what's nice with the NAL Championship for yourselves, I think I maybe as a coach, you'll less enjoy it because you got to take on the Empire like this, but both your rosters are back at full strength. Both sides. I mean, the Empire dealt with their own issues. Orozco's back, for example, as one of them. I know Antoine Grant's not there, but they have their best version of their roster. It seems right now. You guys definitely, it feels, have that back now. I mean, to me, this feels like it could be easily like how the Empire Jacksonville game was 2 weeks ago, where these two teams could be at 60 plus, possibly come the end. That last possession of all things.
Yeah, we definitely got to be on our game all across the board, from time management to every aspect that we can imagine. From, it's going to be a possession game for sure. We're all going to score points. We're both going to score points. No matter what you do to Prince, he's scoring 4 touchdowns at least. He's always going to put up his numbers no matter what you do to him. They got some playmakers across on both sides of the ball. I really feel it's going to come down to the end. It's going to come down to the final possessions. It's going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I just don't see them blowing us out. I don't see us blowing them out. And if you look at the last 3 games we played, they've all been within 1 score. So I could probably imagine that's probably going to be close to that. Some people probably be mad I said that. What do you mean we're not going to blow them out? Well, you got to be realistic too, So we're definitely going in the game to win. I'm not saying we're going to lose by no means, but it's going to be close. It's going to come down to really who has the ball last, I feel. And if everything works in the way it's supposed to, you're the last one to score the first half, first one to score the second half, it's going to be one of those where straight AFL style, arena style, it's going to come down to the end. And what better way to have that in a championship game anyway? That's what the fans want.
Absolutely. And it's looking like it's going to be a nicely sold game too, from what we've been tracking. So you're going to, it's the crown jewel event for the league. It's the best to display what the potential is for the NAL, and what better way of doing it than having, you guys who have built up your roster the way they have, and the way the Empire have, which it's been a mix of well-rounded and good individuals with some surprises this year. So, we're both, me and Jim, are looking forward to this game, and I mean, even for the sport aspect of it, like I said, if your team's not in the game, you still should, I think, enjoy it. It's, if you're an NAL fan, this is the game you want to watch this season. That's just all I'm saying. If the one you want to watch, take this one with you. That's all.
Literally, I got to add something on that. Like, only 2 teams make the Super Bowl, and it's still the highest viewed sporting event in the world. That means a lot of teams, fans who are not in the game, still watch the game. So for NAL's sake, you're not in it, watch it. It helps the league and makes us grow. And for you fans out there that want expansion, this is the way you get expansion, when they see the viewership go up on championship games. Mm-hmm. My point. That's it. I'm not comparing the NAL Championship to
take these home with you. Take these bits home with you, people. That's all we're telling you. And you know what? Tune in August 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube on the National Arena League's page for complete coverage of that game, which should be an exciting back and forth competition, as Rez has also said that you should expect. And Coach, thanks for tuning in with us again. It's been great having you on during the season on the show. Can't thank you enough. Always love chatting up with you, even off the show as well. Getting insights from yourself. And we wish you the best, really. Should be awesome. I can't wait to meet you in person, by the way. That's going to be nice to shake your hand and say hi, get to meet a few people on the Cobras I've been wanting to, get to talk to for a second.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always a pleasure, man. Definitely appreciate everything you guys do. I'm a fan of the show. I listen to every show that's out. So I look forward to it when you guys are late getting your shows out. I'm like, where is the show at? What are these guys doing?
That is the weirdest part, is now we have dedicated people. They're like, hey, this isn't here. Well, where's it at? Are you okay? And I have to go on the social. I'd be like, it's fine. It's fine. Life happened. Don't worry.
But that should be a pat on the back for you guys, man, that you guys do a good job, and you guys keep doing what you guys are doing too. So we appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. That means a lot to us. Really appreciate that. And we'll keep bringing the best we can for, not only folks like you, but folks that are fans too, outside of just the NAL circle. So that means a ton to us. Yeah, I appreciate your time here as always. Really do. Wish you the best. We both wish you the best this coming weekend.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Looking forward to meeting you too.
Awesome. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Want to say shout out to our sponsor for this show. Yeah, that's right. This show's got a sponsor, Salon Resi, where passion and creativity meet. If you want to call for an appointment, call 336-648-8620 to set yourself up a nice hair salon, massage, or facial of your choosing. Again, that is Salon Resi, calling 336-648-8620. For Coach Resignalo and for my partner in crime here, Jim Renee, I'm Zach Common saying so long as always. Thank you for tuning in this latest edition. We got the coming up here of the rest of the episodes for this week in the NAL Championship Series. We're going to finish off with some Empire episodes and then the final walkthrough on Friday. Stay tuned. We got another episode coming your way tomorrow.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.